Amelia never imagined her life would lead her into one of the grandest estates. On the outskirts of York, England, she was only 26, a quiet and determined young woman who had grown up in Leeds with little wealth, but an abundance of resilience. Her childhood wasn't easy. Her mother had passed away when Amelia was just 14, leaving her father, a city bus driver, to raise her alone. He was a man of integrity who often told her, "People may try to make you feel small, but never let them change the strength in your heart." When he'd have passed away, Amelia was left to fend for herself. She worked long shifts in cafes, cleaned offices, and eventually secured a position as a housemaid in the home of one of the wealthiest men in England and the United States, Edward Blackwell. Edward was in his mid-30s, a self-made millionaire, whose real estate empire stretched across London, New York, and Chicago. In the business world, he was respected yet feared, clever in negotiations, uncompromising in deals. But behind the image of sharp suits and wealth, Edward carried the wounds of losing his mother at a young age. The only family he truly cherished was his aging father, Leonard Blackwell. Leonard, nearly 80, was frail but gentle-hearted. He often sat by the window of the library reading faded novels or newspapers, humming old hymns under his breath. Sometimes he would drift asleep with a wool blanket over his knees. Amelia grew fond of him quickly, more than anyone else in the house. She didn't see him as her employer's father, but as someone who reminded her of family she had lost. She would bring him tea, listen to his stories of the past, and even laugh when he forgot the endings of his own jokes. More than once, Leonard told her softly, "You make this house feel alive, Amelia." But then came Veronica Hayes. She was Edward's fiancée, a tall, striking socialite from London who was admired for her beauty, her designer wardrobe, and her polished charm. To outsiders, Veronica appeared refined, caring, and gracious. She had the posture of royalty, the accent of the wealthy, and an elegance that impressed Edward's business partners. But Amelia, watching quietly from the background, began to see the truth behind the mask. Veronica was different when no one was watching. Her words turned sharp, her patience thin, and her attitude toward Leonard cold and dismissive. In public, she would coo, "Leonard is such a wonderful man. I just adore him." But when the doors were closed, Amelia noticed the rolled eyes, the cruel smirks when Leonard asked for help, and the whispered complaints about being forced to live in a house with an old burden. Amelia tried to push it aside. She needed the job, and speaking against Edward's fiancé could destroy her livelihood. That changed one rainy night. Amelia was polishing silverware in the kitchen when she overheard voices from the living room. At first, she thought it was the television, but then she recognized Veronique's icy tone. "Leonard, you are nothing but dead weight. If it weren't for Edward's ridiculous attachment, you'd already be rotting in some cheap nursing home. Do you think I'll waste the best years of my life babysitting a useless old man?" Leonard's voice trembled. You don't mean that." Veronique's reply was venomous. "I mean every word. One way or another. You won't be in my way for long." Amelia froze, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might echo in the quiet halls. When Veronica stormed out moments later, Amelia rushed in to find Leonard pale and shaken. She knelt beside him and whispered, "Don't worry. I'll protect you." From that moment on, Amelia's eyes never left Veronica. She saw every cruel slip, the mocking tone, the intentional delays when Leonard needed help, and even the time Veronica accidentally knocked Leonard's heart medication onto the floor, leaving him to miss his dose. Veronica always laughed it off as clumsiness, but Amelia knew better. Then came the note. One morning, Amelia found an envelope slipped under her door. Inside was a typed message with no handwriting. "Stay silent, Maid, or you'll regret it." Her stomach churned, but instead of scaring her into silence, it fueled her resolve. If Veronica felt threatened enough to warn her, Amelia knew she had to be close to uncovering the truth. The breaking point arrived during a stormy evening. Thunder rattled the windows as Amelia carried a tray of tea toward Leonard's room. But when she reached his door, muffled noises inside stopped her cold. Pushing it open a crack, she saw Veronica pressing a pillow down over Leonard's frail face. His arms flailed weakly, his legs kicked, but he was too fragile to resist. The tray clattered to the ground as Amelia screamed, "Stop!" Veronica spun around, fury blazing in her eyes. "You stupid girl, you didn't see anything." Amelia rushed to Leonard's side, pulling the pillow away as he gasped desperately for air. She tried to kill me, Leonard Wheez. At that exact moment, Edward appeared at the doorway, his face pale with shock. What is going on here? Without missing a beat, Veronica's expression shifted to faint horror. She pointed at Amelia and cried, Edward, thank God you came. She was attacking your father. I barely stopped her. Amelia's voice shook, but stayed firm. That's a lie. She was smothering him. Ask your father. Leonard, weak but determined, raised his trembling hand toward his son. Edward, she's lying. Amelia saved me. Veronica was going to kill me. For a moment, the silence was suffocating. Veronica's tears fell on command as she clutched Edward's arm. Darling, you can't trust the words of a confused old man and a servant. Look at me, I love you. Why would I ever harm him? Amelia's voice cut through the tension. Check the security cameras. They'll show you the truth. Edward's expression hardened. Without a word, he left the room. Veronica's false tears dried quickly. As she began pacing in panic, minutes later, Edward returned, his face grim. As stone, I saw everything. He said coldly, you tried to smother my father. Veronica's face drained of color. Edward, I can explain. There is nothing to explain. He snapped. Pack your things. Get out. We're finished. Her voice rose in desperation, but Edward thundered, now. His words echoed through the mansion. Defeated, Veronica spat venomously at Amelia. You'll regret this. Then she stormed out, her charms powerless at last. But the nightmare didn't end there. That same night, Edward's head of security revealed that Veronica had been secretly meeting one of Edward's fiercest business rivals, leaking confidential information. She hadn't only wanted his fortune through marriage, she intended to ruin him from the inside. For the first time, Edward realized that without Amelia, he would have lost not only his father, but everything he had built. She had risked everything to protect his family. A week later, Edward called Amelia into the study where Leonard sat comfortably by the fire. His voice was softer than she had ever heard. Amelia, I can never repay you. You didn't just save my father, you saved me, my family, and all that I worked for. I was blind, but you saw the truth. Leonard reached for her hand. You are no maid in this house anymore, child. You are family. Tears filled Amelia's eyes. She had always thought of herself as invisible, someone who worked quietly in the shadows. But in that moment, she understood true worth was not measured by money or social status. It was measured by loyalty, bravery, and the courage to act when it mattered most. From that day forward, her role in the mansion changed forever. She was no longer just staff, she was a protector. Trusted above all others, the estate felt lighter, free of deception. In place of fear stood trust, respect, and an unshakable bond. The lesson was undeniable. Wealth can buy mansions, diamonds, and power, but it cannot buy love, honor, or courage. Sometimes, those overlooked by society, the maid, the elderly father hold the greatest strength, and sometimes the bravest act is simply standing up and saying, this is wrong. For Amelia, that choice reshaped her destiny. For Edward, it restored the truth his father had always taught him, that fortune means nothing without honor. And for Leonard, it brought peace. Knowing his son was finally surrounded by genuine loyalty rather than false affection, the story spread quietly among the staff, then beyond the mansion's walls, until it became a whispered reminder: empires may be built on wealth, but only courage can protect them.